Chapter 1. Start wider than your first idea.
What does that mean? Start wider than your first idea. It means don't limit the possibilities before you even start. If you have an idea for a property improvement project to increase the value or rent out more units or just make the place more beautiful, your property improvement idea is the starting point. And based on your idea, it's possible to use AI and find several other possibilities you might like. Maybe you'll decide you like one of the other ideas even more. Or maybe exploring the other possibilities will increase your confidence in the idea you started with.
And what if you are not starting with any idea in mind at all? If you don't already have a property improvement idea, you can upload a few pictures at propertyownerai.com or text a few pictures of your property to 413-749-2677.
The team at Property Owner AI will use AI to analyze each image and send you a few possible futures for your property. It gives you visual renderings of what each possibility might look like when you make a plan and make it happen. This first chapter is about widening the field of possibilities before any money starts moving around. You are going to get 5 practical pro tips about using AI to help you consider all your options and make an informed decision.
Pro tip number 1. Start by letting AI ask you some questions. It's a rookie mistake when somebody prompts AI by explaining a situation and then asking for advice right away. You ain't qualified. Fool, you ain't qualified. When you prompt AI and explain a situation, who told you you were qualified to explain a situation? When you use AI and you explain the property improvement decision you need to make, let it help you. Let it help you think of all the information you should provide. Tell it to ask you a few questions so it can get the information you should provide, but you won't provide because humans forget stuff all the time because their brains are small. If you ask for ideas too early, the AI starts guessing. It guesses your budget. It guesses your timeline. It guesses whether this is your home or a rental. It guesses how much disruption you can tolerate. It guesses whether you care most about speed, resale value, durability, or appearance. Then it gives you an answer that sounds complete, but the answer is built on guesswork. A better move is to reverse the order. Before you ask for options, tell the AI to ask you questions first. Not 20 questions. Just the small number of questions for information it actually needs in order to give useful advice. Those questions might include your budget, your timeline, whether you live there or rent it out, how much disruption you can tolerate, whether speed matters, whether resale matters, and what result you care about most. That changes the quality of the output right away. Now the model is not guessing. Now it is working from context. This is especially useful when the project still feels blurry. You may think you need help with a kitchen, a bathroom, curb appeal, or a rental turnover. But once the questions start, you may realize the real issue is sequencing, maintenance, timing, or whether the full project even makes sense right now. A simple prompt for this is, before giving me recommendations, ask me the minimum number of questions you need in order to understand my situation. Then give me 3 realistic options and explain the trade-offs. That is already much better than asking for one polished answer too early. Example. A property owner thinks, I want to upgrade the kitchen. But before giving ideas, the AI asks whether the owner plans to sell soon, whether the property is a rental, what the budget is, and how much disruption is acceptable. After those questions, the AI may show that a full kitchen remodel is not the smartest first move, and that better lighting, paint, hardware, and layout fixes may create more value for less money. Pro tip number 2. Ask for 5 different ways to do it. Ask for 5 ways to solve the problem or achieve your goal. Most people narrow the range of possibilities too early because one answer feels efficient. But what feels efficient is not always useful. If you ask for the best option too soon, you often get something generic, safe, and middle of the road. It sounds polished because it has not had to compete with anything. A better move is to force range first. Ask for 5 different ways to solve the same problem. Why 5? Because 1 or 2 options are too easy to fake. 5 usually forces the model to start showing real variation. For a property decision, that might mean asking for the cheapest path, the fastest path, the phased path, the highest upside path, and the safest path. Same problem, 5 different routes. Now you are not staring at one smooth answer. Now you are looking at different ways of thinking. And that matters because many property decisions are really about trade-offs. Speed versus cost, resale versus comfort, durability versus disruption, simplicity versus upside. When you force several approaches into view, the decision becomes easier to understand because the trade-offs become visible. One caution here, do not ask for 5 versions of the same basic idea. Push for genuinely different paths. 1 conservative, 1 aggressive, 1 phased, 1 low disruption, 1 that solves the problem without doing the standard project at all. That is when brainstorming starts to become useful. Example: suppose a landlord wants to improve a duplex before listing it for rent. Instead of asking for the best renovation, the landlord asks AI for 5 different approaches: the cheapest refresh, the fastest turnover plan, a phased upgrade plan, the highest rent plan, and the lowest maintenance plan. Now, the landlord can compare real trade-offs instead of getting stuck with one polished but narrow answer. Pro tip number 3. Sort the ideas before you read them. Once the AI gives you several options, do not read them as one long block and try to hold everything in your head at once. That makes the decision harder than it needs to be. Instead, make the AI sort the ideas first. Ask it to organize them by the categories that matter most in your situation. That might be lowest cost, fastest to do, least disruption, best visual improvement, strongest long-term value, or easiest to phase. Now the information starts to match real life. You are no longer asking, which idea do I vaguely like? You are asking better questions. Which budget option is smartest? Which speed option is least likely to create regret? Which long-term option still makes sense if I do not want the place torn apart for weeks? This also protects you from getting emotionally attached too early. People often fall in love with the most exciting idea before they have sorted what is practical. So sort first, then read. And notice something else. If the same idea keeps showing up in more than one strong category, that is often a clue. If one option is both fairly affordable and low disruption, or both attractive and easy to phase, that tells you something useful. Example: a homeowner gets 10 improvement ideas from AI for the front of the house. Instead of reading them in one long list, the homeowner asks AI to sort them into low-cost ideas, quick-win ideas, and long-term value ideas. That makes it much easier to notice that simple landscaping and updated lighting show up in more than one strong category. Pro tip 4. Ask what you may not be seeing yet. This is one of the strongest questions in the whole chapter, because a lot of bad property decisions come from blind spots. People think they are choosing a contractor when they may actually need to rethink scope. They think they are choosing finishes when they may need to rethink timing. They think they are deciding whether to do the project at all when the smarter question is whether this is even the right first move. So ask the AI a very direct question. What am I probably not seeing yet? Or ask it this way: what are the 3 things most likely to change my decision if I knew them now? That question is useful because it pulls hidden issues into the open. It may reveal missing prep work, hidden dependencies, better phasing, cheaper workarounds, timing problems, maintenance concerns, or a smarter first move that was invisible when the problem was framed too narrowly. This is also where AI starts being useful as a thinking partner. The goal is not to have the model sound smart. The goal is to expose the things that would have annoyed you later. A good moment to use this is after you already have a rough plan. Paste the rough plan in and ask what assumptions, variables, or missing constraints could still change the recommendation. That is a very strong move. Example: let's say you think you need to remodel a bathroom before selling. But when you ask AI what you may not be seeing or considering, the AI points out that outdated flooring in the main living area may affect buyer perception more than the bathroom. Now, this doesn't mean you have to agree with it. You don't have to follow the advice from the AI you're using. The guys at propertyownerai.com are constantly getting in arguments with the AI tools they use, but sometimes the AI tools have really, really good ideas. Pro tip number 5. Force unusual but realistic options. If you let AI answer any way it wants, it will often give you conventional, common, boring answers. Ask it for some unusual but realistic ideas. Otherwise, it will only give you reasonable answers, sensible answers, forgettable answers. And that kind of weak sauce, commonplace, vanilla-ass, sensible, conventional thinking is not always bad, but it is incomplete. We want to do some outside-the-box thinking, lesser-known strategies, or strange but cool creative innovations. Ask the AI for unusual but realistic options. Not nonsense. Just options that a practical person might seriously consider, but would not usually be the first thing suggested. That might mean ugly but effective fixes, temporary but smart workarounds. Ways to improve the result without doing the standard project at all. For example, instead of asking how to remodel a space, ask how to improve the result without doing a full remodel. Instead of asking how to maximize curb appeal, ask how to create the biggest visual improvement with the least invasive work. Instead of asking for the normal upgrade path, ask what gets skipped because it is unfashionable even though it works. The mistake to avoid is confusing unusual with reckless. You do not want novelty for its own sake. You want options that a grounded person might actually use if they were not trapped by habit. A simple prompt here is: give me 5 realistic ways to solve this problem without using the standard approach. That one question can save a surprising amount of money. Example: a homeowner assumes the only way to improve a dated kitchen is a full remodel. But when the homeowner asks AI for unusual but realistic options, the AI suggests painting the cabinets, replacing the hardware, upgrading the lighting, and improving the backsplash instead. That may not be the fashionable answer, but it could create a big visual improvement for a fraction of the cost. Here is the main idea to carry forward from this chapter. Do not rush to the answer. Explore more possibilities, even if you're already pretty sure you know what you want to do.